Good morning. You are listening to the First Title National Real Estate Radio Show. I'm your host, Doug Dennison, and we are broadcasting from a different place today. We are in Jekyll Island, Georgia, at the Georgia Auctioneers Association, and thrilled to be here. Through the power of the internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1023newsradio.com. The show will also be archived on First Title Services and TitleCompany.com, as First Title and Escrow, Inc. is a leading national title agency and are the sponsors of this program. Additionally, the show will be posted on YouTube.com. Our radio show mission statement to provide an educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for real estate sales across the country. We're going to be talking about real estate and auctions. And today we've got some great guests, some VIP guests, and let's get right into it. I have with me, which is pretty exciting, the host of the Georgia Auctioneers Association and the president of the Georgia Auctioneers Association, and we're here at a conference. Jackson Myers, thank you so much for being on the show and allowing me to be here today.
Well, thank you a lot, Doug, and we're glad to be here to be a part of this broadcast.
You are the president of the Georgia Auctioneers Association. What does that really mean?
Well, the Georgia Auctioneers, like many states, have an association, and it's formed by the members, and we gather annually, semi-annually, to come together to talk about continuing education, what's going on in our industry, as well as networking events. And we get into some rather good catching up and some old stories. We see some old friends, but more importantly, we're able to talk about the auction industry, what's important in the auction industry, and the current trends.
That's nice. Now, we're here in this beautiful place in Jekyll Island, Georgia. Tell us a little bit about the conference, where we're at, and tell us about who's here.
Well, we're on the southeast coast of Georgia, and this is a primary destination for a lot of folks that's coming out of the southern United States if they're going to come down and in vacation. Mm-hmm. Jekyll Island has a lot of history. This is actually where the first long-distance telephone call was made by Alexander Graham Bell.
Really?
When this little compound was built, that call went up to New York. So it's a family destination. It's a fun destination. We're out here on the coast and in the waters of southeast Georgia.
And it's the Jekyll Island Club Hotel. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, where we're at right here. This just in its heyday. This was the party spot where we're sitting. And then you'll see the buildings are around the compound, and you'll have people, some of the magnates of the industry, the Industrial Revolution. This was their summer campground. So this is where they come to have fun.
Now tell me a little bit about you. How did you get into the auction business?
Well, it was a career change for me, and then I become interested in the auction chant, just like a lot of people do. And then I started getting association and networking with other auctioneers. Got invited to this very conference a number of years ago, and as I've heard stated by many people here today, the networking is absolutely crucial. And one gentleman said today from Augusta, Georgia, he said he would absolutely keep on coming to these conferences if the camaraderie, the esprit de corps, and the networking, and the people continue to come as it was. He would be here for a long time. This was his first show.
Very nice. You talk about a chant. Tell me what a chant is, or maybe even demonstrate if you would.
Well, the bid chant is a lot of what the public perceives of how auctioneers talk, and it's a rhythmic, fun style that we get up, and it's a form of selling. And I like to tell people, listen, I can count from 1 to 1,000,000 faster than you ever could, and of course it starts to mesmerize people. It goes to something other. Hey, now $1 been doing a house, £500, now £600, £700. What did he do? £800, £999. What did he do? $1 million, $1 million, $1 million. What did he do? $1 million, $1 million, sold $1 million.
Wow.
So it catches the attention of a lot of people.
Absolutely. Tell me about. I know you're the president of the Georgia Auctioneers Association. Tell me about your firm, United Country Auction Services.
Well, United Country Auction Services, United Country's been around since about 1925, long history in the real estate business, and now we have an auction services like doing auctions.
Tell me, is there any trends that you see? Again, you are a VIP in the auction industry, in the auction world. Do you see any trends that are happening in the auction industry?
Well, I think it's a matter of public awareness. As we increase public awareness, your consumer sees that the auction is a viable way of buying and selling. The more that we emphasize, the more that we're in the presence of the public, that trend is rapidly growing.
Mm-hmm.
More people want to attend auctions. Now we have the ability to sell online and live. The number one reason why people come to auctions, they like to have fun.
Right.
If you're coming to a real estate auction, or if you're going to an estate auction, or if you're going to a cattle auction, I mean, there's a lot of fun in that environment. However, there's serious business transactions. One of the other things, Doug, is that people see real market value at auction. So, we've heard it said, and we see that some of the large auction houses from England and New York, they sell fine art.
Mm-hmm.
They sell expensive automobiles. Well, let me tell you what, crab in Alaska sold at auction. You've got peanut farms down here in Georgia that sold at auction. You've got row crops out in the Midwestern states. It's sold at auction because people want to know the real market value of the product that's being put up for the consumer.
Well, it is exciting for a live auction where whether it's at a house or if it's in a ballroom, you get a lot of people excited and the competition starts. That's when you get market value, right?
Well, we get market value when the product has been exposed to a well-qualified group of people.
Good point.
Auctioneers or marketers are well. We have been talking out here on the front porch and during this conference about internet marketing and how do we actually get, our message across to the consumer. The internet is used, and it is widely used today. Now almost, it's getting close to, I'm not going to say 100%, but it's somewhere around between 90 and 95%. People go to the internet to start searching. That's a powerful tool. If we get that out in front of a lot of people, we in turn offer the product to a lot of people, and we have that competitive bid come back in from multiples of individuals who understand the product that they're buying.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the ability to buy. They got the ability to pay cash. Now we have a true market value.
What's one of your, or maybe even a couple of your favorite auctions? You've been in the business for a while, particularly real estate auctions. Any favorites that you can think of or come to mind?
Yeah, I'm going to go back several years here, and this was a very special auction to me. I've done some work for a lady. Her husband was a retired sheriff. He had died, and we done an estate auction. A lot of auctioneers do these estate auctions, and we talked to the lady about marketing, promotion, and what's involved in an auction. And she looked at me and she says, "This is all I have. This is everything that I have." And she entrusted me as an auctioneer to sell her estate. And at the end of the process, she had advertised her property for $2,100 an acre. And the last bid that we retrieved on that estate auction was $3,600 an acre.
Whoa.
She had many tears in her eyes. And of course, I did too. Yeah, that was one of my favorite auctions because we were able to serve that client very well.
Well, the responsibility that you feel, especially in a story like that, to do your very best. And I know you as a professional that gets out there to do all the marketing, because you really need to get the people there to have the competitive juices flowing, and the more bidders, the higher the prices usually, and it's very, very important. So I know that you take that responsibility not so lightly. It's a huge responsibility. We have a fiduciary responsibility to the people that we work with, and that means that carries a lot of weight. And at the end of the day, we deliver as auctioneers. We're professionals in what we do, and I think that's important for the public to understand. We're just not bid callers. We conduct ourselves in a manner that is conducive of making sure that the right thing is done at the end of the transaction. Well, that's great, Myers. How can people get a hold of you to find out about auctions, to sell, to buy? How How do they get a hold of you?
Well, right here in Georgia, I'd like to speak on behalf of the association here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Go to GeorgiaAuctioneers.org, and you will find auctions for all the auctioneers in Georgia that are a member of the association. And I'd like to say, if there's any auctioneers that are not a member of the association that are listening, you're missing out on a good conference down here. I highly would like to suggest that you get involved in your state association, that you get involved in the National Auctioneers Association. That way, that you got more exposure to the public. These associations are doing good things, though.
Well, you just did a great segue because you talked about the National Auctioneers Association, and you had a special guest come to the Georgia Auctioneers Association conference. Tell me a little bit. Why don't you do a little bit of the intro for Paul C. Bear?
Well, we can do that. Mr. Paul C. Bear is the president of the National Auctioneers Association. He comes out of Colorado to be here with us down here in South Georgia. He's experiencing something other down here called live oak trees and moss and some good southern shade and grits and what have you. But Paul is a leader in this industry, and he's well known and recognized by not only my peers but his as well. And he is coming on as president. He will serve for this next year, and he is certainly going to do a good job. And we appreciate him spending his time here in Georgia for the last few days.
Absolutely. Well, with no further ado, let's get Paul on the microphone to tell us. Thank you so much, Myers. Again, Myers Jackson, president of the Georgia Auctioneers Association and a leader of the United Country Auction Services. And thank you so much, Myers, for being on. We talked about the National Auctioneers Association, and special VIP guest is Paul C. Bear. Paul, it's great to see you again, and it's been a while, but congratulations for being elected as the new president of the National Auctioneers Association.
Thank you, Doug. It's a pleasure to be here, and you and I worked together many years ago in Colorado at an RTC sale auction. I believe it was in the 80s with the Fisher Auction Company. It was a lot of fun. It's good to see you again. I am president of the National Auctioneers Association. Association has approximately 4,000 members throughout the United States, Canada, and the world, and we're the NAA is the spokesman for the auction industry and profession throughout the United States and the world.
Well, it's an exciting group, and I know as one of the tasks or one of the great things that you're able to do is to go out to these state associations, to meet them one-on-one, and to help them kind of give your idea of where the association should be going, where the industry should be going, and I know that Myers is thrilled, and the other people that are here today, the other auctioneers and their family members are thrilled that you took the time and effort to be here.
I appreciate you saying that, and I've had a wonderful time here in Georgia Auctioneers Association. The true Southern hospitality has shown through greatly. We had a slow country boil last night with the members of the GAA, and the hospitality has been wonderful. The training has been wonderful. The education has been wonderful. They've had speakers from all over the United States here. And I've got to give Georgia Auctioneers Association credit. The education and the fellowship, the camaraderie has just been first class, 100% in every way during my stay here, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's always good. You talk about that camaraderie and meeting people and networking. Part of kind of an elite group, and to be able to know people in the business, to be able to call upon them to get fresh ideas and to maybe give them some kind of leadership as far as what they're going to. It's really a great thing, and I think that's why these association conferences are so effective.
Well, they are effective, and one of the primary goals of every state association and also the National Auctioneers Association is to continue the professionalism of the professional auctioneer. You know, the leading auctioneers in the country are members of the their state association and National Auctioneers Association, and they're certainly here for the customer and the client to better serve the customer and the client with new and cutting edge techniques and market trends, leading edge marketability, and we're the great marketers of the world as far as knowing how to market property, how to market personal and real property, and get the top dollar for the sellers, and certainly have availability of things to buy for the buyers also.
How did you get into auctions, Paul?
Well, I wanted to be an auctioneer since the time I was a little boy, about 6 or 7 years old.
Really?
Yes, sir. I went to livestock market at that time, the cattle barns, and I would say that the best description would be the chant of the auctioneer mesmerized me. I certainly wanted to be an auctioneer. After I got out of high school, I went in the Marine Corps, did a tour in Vietnam, and came home. Went to auction school, and I've been an auctioneer ever since. One of the things that I like so much about being an auctioneer is we solve people's problems. They might have something that they want to sell, but don't know how to turn that real estate or personal property into cash.
Mm-hmm.
And the professional auctioneer, whether it's here in Georgia or around the country, around the world, know how to do that in the very best manner, in the very best way that they can to get top dollar for the seller, and also provide that service, also to provide the product to the buyer.
Well, you talked about that word again, that chant. Can you give us a chant, maybe sell a $5 million hotel for us?
Well, I can now. Myers Jackson, the president of the Georgia Auctioneers Association, he sells more real estate with United Country than I do, but
sure.
I sold quite a bit of real estate through my life. Also, I bid $500,000, now $1 million. I bid $100 million, $2 billion, now $2 billion, $2 million, now $3 million. I bid $3 million here, over here, $3,500,000. At $3,500,000, $4 million.
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Right in the back of the room now, $4,500,000, and now $4,500,000, now $5 million. At $5 million, my $5 million, $5 million, $5 million. I bid $5 million here, and I sold it for $5 million. Sold to the gentleman with the big smile on his face. You're the purchaser, sir. Thank you very much.
Nice. That's a great chant. One last thing before I let you go, because I know you've got other duties, and I appreciate you being on. Why would a new person, maybe coming out of college, go into the auction business? Tell us about what you believe the auction business is so unique, and why people should get in, young kids, whether they're 17, 21, whatever.
Well, I think someone that would want to be an auctioneer or an auction professional would want to go in for several reasons. An auction professional encompasses not only the auctioneer, but the ring people or the bid assistants, the people, good people that work in the office. A lot of people encompass the auction professional. But I referenced earlier that auctioneers solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether it's an estate, whether grandma and grandpa passed away, they might have some real estate, personal property. Also, that it's a wonderful way to live life. The National Auctioneers Association a few years ago did a survey. They did a survey to the public on what people think about the auctioneer. 93% of the public have a favorable feeling about auctioneers. Wouldn't any politician or any doctor or attorney or whatever love to have a 93% approval rating? And that's what auctioneers do. It's interesting when the auctioneer starts to chant, and whether it's a man or woman auctioneer, they start to chant. People start to smile, and their foot starts to tap. And also, one of the things that the auctioneer does is he gets top dollar for every product, for every service, for every property that he or she gets to sell.
Mm-hmm.
It's true price discovery. When there's people on the internet, whether it's people online, people in the ballroom, a property or a product brings the top dollar. to answer your question, it's a wonderful way to make a living, and in the process, it's a wonderful way to help people, whether they're buying or selling.
Paul, how do people get a hold of you? You are the president of the National Auctioneers Association, a great honor, and you've earned every part of that honor as you lead auctioneers into the next area in the future.
Well, even though that I'm president of the National Auctioneers Association, it's an organization or an association of approximately 4,000 members throughout the United States, Canada, and around the world. They can. I represent them today, so it's a great organization, and I encourage you, if you're an auctioneer out there, whatever state you're from or wherever you're from, join your state association, and also join the National Auctioneers Association. I know that it'll reap big benefits for you, not only in education, but also in fellowship and networking.
Paul, thank you so much for being here, being on the show, and we appreciate your leadership in this coming year.
Thank you, Doug. Thanks for being here, and thank you, everyone.
All right, folks, we're going to go to a break in a minute, but we are here at the Jekyll Island Hotel in Jekyll Island, Georgia. This is the Georgia Auctioneers Association. I do want to talk to you about dsnews.com and the 5-Star Conference report. That is coming up soon, September 8th. This is a conference that's probably the leading real estate and lending conference in the country. It comes up once a year in Dallas. To get information, you want to go on dsnews.com. That's dsnews.com. Additionally, you want to get on the Daily Dose. Now, what is the Daily Dose? It is a free email that comes out once a day about all the top stories in real estate and lending. And it comes out that you need to sign up for it. Just put in your email. It is free. And go on dsnews.com, and you'll find out about that. Again, the 5-Star Conference report coming up September 8th to the 11th in Dallas. There is still room to register. Do it quickly, because I know that there's usually 4,000 or 5,000 people at that conference. So, again, we had Myers Jackson, president of the Georgia Auctioneers Association, and Paul C. Bear, president of the National Auctioneers Association, come on, and I really appreciate them taking the time and effort to be on the show. We're going to go for a break, but we'll be back. We've got new, exciting guests that will be coming on, talking about auctions, auction trends, and additional stories from the Georgia Auctioneers Association Conference at Jekyll Island in Georgia. All right, we are back. You're listening to First Title National Real Estate Radio. We're broadcasting live today from Jekyll Island in Georgia. We are here at the Georgia Auctioneers Association Annual Conference. We've had two great guests, Myers Jackson, president of the National Auctioneers Association, and Paul C. Bear, president of the National Auctioneers Association. Again, this program is sponsored by First Title Services, and you can go on titlecompany.com for our information, and Steve Papermaster, the president of First Title Services, and Pam Gibbons are the leaders of the organization, and we thank them very much for sponsoring this particular show. We have with us now another friend of mine, Tommy Rowell from Rowell Auctions, the CEO and president. Tommy, it's great to see you again.
Doug, glad to be with you. Glad to have you here at Jekyll Island at the Georgia Auctioneers Conference.
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself. How in the world did you get into the auction, sir?
Doug, in coming out of the University of Georgia, my family saw the need for us to expand our real estate services, and we moved into auction marketing as an adjunct. And Doug, within 2 years, we found the power of real estate auctions, and we soon spun off brokerage businesses, insurance agencies, appraisal practices and focus solely on auction marketing for the last 35 years. It's a very powerful tool that produces fabulous results for our clients.
Well, I've worked with you, and your team of professionals are one of the best in the country. You're a national firm, do a lot of bank work, also do land, residential, commercial, all across the country. And so thank you so much for being on the show. I guess I have a question, because we were, just you and I and a lot of other people were at the National Auctioneers Association conference in Indianapolis just 3 or 4 weeks ago, whenever it was. And again, our friend Paul C. Bear was elected as the new president of that group and the leader there. You are very active in the National Auctioneers Association, but tell us how.
I'm active as in the National Auctioneers Foundation, which is the 501c3 for the association. And I have served as the finance chair for the previous 5 years, and this year at the annual conference was elected vice president of the foundation. And the foundation provides support to the National Auctioneers Association to provide education for the auction industry and enhance and enrich the auction community.
Well, that probably takes a lot of time and a lot of work, and I know you do that as a volunteer. I know Paul does this as a volunteer. I know Myers does this as a volunteer. What is the plan? How are you all leading the auction industry? Because we need leaders for the future. What are your kind of crystal ball as far as what auctions are going to be doing in the next couple of years?
Well, Doug, the auction industry is evolving. And it has, in the past 7 years, has changed significantly because of the internet. Online marketing and online auctions have been a fast-growing segment of the auction industry, and will continue to be so in the future as the younger generations come on, and they're very internet savvy. They're comfortable with doing business-to-business transactions online. We will see more and more online sales, I believe, as time moves along.
Well, why do you think that is the case? I mean, I know the deal about the young kids are so grown up in the internet world. In fact, I was at the phone store just yesterday, and I was doing something, and somebody my age was there, and he said he had to have a 7-year-old help him with the phone yesterday. So I get the fact that the younger set is coming up. Is it a lot to do with the fact that people just don't have as much time anymore to travel? Give us the whole deal about the internet. Do you think that it's just a quick type of method that everybody's using because they don't want to get in the car to go to a ballroom, or is this just the internet is changing the world?
Well, the internet is changing the world. A major reason for that, as you identified, certainly is time.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we have bidders from all across the nation that follow our online auctions and are bidding on these sales. There, you can complete your due diligence online. We provide 99% of all the information you would need in order to make a decision to purchase a piece of real estate. Then the bidders will maybe contact a local broker and ask them to inspect the property for them, give them opinion, and then they bid based upon the information they've received, and it is allows them to be in California and bid on property in Georgia,
Yep.
and save the expense of travel, because heretofore they would have had to make a trip to Georgia, inspect the property, and then generally make another trip for the auction itself. So
Hotel costs, travel costs, whatever.
it is indeed a cost saving. In fact, online sales, maybe the green portion going green, saving energy costs and reducing the carbon footprint. How about that?
That's good. Now, you and I, we always, or I like to talk to you about the fact that auctions are the most transparent way to sell government properties, and the government continues to be in a financial mess, and yet there's 14,000 or more government surplus properties that the government owns that right now they're paying, or we as taxpayers are paying $1.6 billion a year in holding costs for these 14,000 properties. Now, you and I went up to Washington several times. You are an industry leader. Tell our audience why it's important that auctions be a part of these, the disposition of these properties, and why they need to sell.
Well, Doug, the 14,000 surplus properties that have been identified by the government do need to be sold. They're underutilized, and the reason they need to be sold at auction is so that it is a transparent transaction. It's fair, it's equitable, and there are no behind-the-scenes government deals cut. It's going to produce market value and have that asset sold within and closed within a 90-day period. And I'm so glad to see that there was another bill introduced this year. So our congressmen have recognized the importance of reducing the surplus properties, and they're still working on it. And we need all the listeners to be calling the congressman,
Yes,
and reinforcing the fact that you're tired of the government wasting billions of dollars.
$1.6 billion a year, according to the General Accounting Office, the GAO. Just an amazing thing. But think about this. What if we got those properties into the hands of the private sector?
Wow.
So number one, they're not going to be costing taxpayers money anymore. But now the new private sector owners are going to do what? They're going to develop. They're going to hire new people. They're going to buy goods and services and actually pay taxes.
That's right. Pay the real estate taxes. They'll go back on the tax rolls, generating income for that local community, which local communities, as evidenced by Detroit's filing bankruptcy, they're struggling. They need every tax dollar that they can get to operate, to provide the services and goods that its constituents need. So that would be of utmost importance to put them back on the tax roll.
Put them back on the tax roll. Stop having taxpayers pay for these monies that are just sitting and actually losing value each year because obviously an abandoned property does nothing for the property or the area.
That's correct.
Well, I really thank you, and I want to applaud your work on going to Washington, D.C. several times to meet with the Congress leaders. Last year, it was a House bill that never got to the Senate. It passed by Congressman Jeff Denham. This year, I think it's progress because the Senate is actually putting the bill out. I'm hoping that the House will this time say, okay, with a little bit of tweaks, maybe we can get this done. And I also think that it needs to be transparent properties, and we sell these properties, put the money back into the budget because we certainly need it. Tommy, how can people get a hold of you?
Doug, there are two ways. My phone at 800-323-8388 or at Rowell, ROWELL, auctions.com. We appreciate, Doug, you being here in St. Simons and broadcasting the radio show live from the Georgia Auctioneers Convention.
Well, thank you so much. And actually, it was your son that told me about this conference, and so thank him. He's the reason I'm here. So,
Will do.
All right. That's Tommy Rowell. Sheldon, can we take a quick break, and then we'll be right back? We've got another important guest coming on, and we appreciate you listening on the First Title National Real Estate Radio Show.
First Title and Escrow is a national leader and pioneer in the title industry. The firm specializes in title insurance, title examination, property information, escrow services, and other management solutions in more than 40 states. Their residential and commercial real estate experience includes work with government agencies, asset managers, banks, auction companies, developers, portfolio buyers, real estate firms, and the private sector. To contact First Title and Escrow, please call 866-484-8537 or visit firsttitleservices.com.
All right, we are back. First Title National Real Estate Radio Show broadcast live from Jekyll Island in Georgia. We're at the Georgia Auctioneers Association annual conference. We've had three superb guests: Myers Jackson, president of the Georgia Auctioneers Association; Paul C. Bear, president of the National Auctioneers Association; and Tommy Rowell, CEO of Rowell Auctions from Moultrie, Georgia. We have another VIP guest, Buddy Lee. Buddy, thank you for coming on the show and talking to us about why it's important to you to be at this kind of conference.
Thank you, Doug. It's good to be here. Good to be here. This is a great conference and a great way to learn for us auctioneers.
Well, it is, and you are with John Dixon and Associates, and that is a great firm. I know John from years and years ago when we both were getting government business. If I didn't get one, he got one. He actually got a lot more than me when he was with Hudson and Marshall, to be honest. A superb mind as far as it comes to auctions, so please give him my best. Buddy, tell us how you got into the auction business, if you would.
Well, it's kind of a coincidental story with your previous guest that you just had on. I grew up in Moultrie, Georgia, little South Georgia town, and had some friends that were in the auction business, Mr. Rowell particularly, and I would go help them at a young age and put out the chairs and set up the tent and tote the furniture and, you know, all those good little things that goes along with the auction process behind the scenes. So I just fell in love with it and really, since an early age, knew this is what I wanted to do and worked hard to try to make really a hobby turn into a career.
Well, nice. The Georgia Auctioneers Association, again, led by Myers Jackson. A lot of people here, a lot of education here, a lot of camaraderie. So you have been the lead on the Georgia Auctioneers Association in the past. Why do you do it? Because it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. What's in it for you? Why do you do that? Because I know it's important. We need leaders in this industry. Why did you do it, sir?
Well, Doug, in this industry, and I think in most industries, you've got to give back.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to give back to what you're passionate about and what you want to be a part of. And so for me, it was a way to really give back to the industry. We as an association and us as individuals really want to make the industry as best as it can be. And we feel that if we can help other auctioneers do a better job at what they're doing, it's good for the whole industry, and it's a very positive thing. And so it's just a way of giving back to an industry that we're passionate about.
Well, you told us that you came up as a young kid getting into the auction business. I asked the question before to Paul C. Bear, the president of the National Auctioneers Association, but more in a local flavor. Why would you suggest to young superstars that are growing up trying to figure out what they're doing with their life, why would they go into auctions, in your opinion?
Well, it's a very unique business, unlike many businesses. But I think as a young person growing up, you've got to find something you're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to find something that you enjoy. And if you enjoy what you do, you don't wake up and go, I've got to go to work. You wake up and you're excited about what you're doing. The auction industry it certainly is unique. It's different. I guess the thing that attracts most people is the bid caller to the auction industry initially. But there's a lot of different components to the auction industry. We've seen a lot of changes particularly with online auctions. As things have changed in that arena.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe you're an IT person and you're passionate about that. Well, there's a spot for you in the auction industry.
Yes, there is.
In that component.
Yes, there is.
Maybe you're really into logistics and organization, and there's a big component for that in the auction industry. So, there's a lot of roles other than just the auctioneer. But I guess as a young person, you've got to find something you're passionate about, and you might want to take a look at the auction industry.
Well, I like that. That's a great answer, and it is unique, and it's just not the auctioneer in these days and times. It is the IT person. It is the person in the background that may not be up on the podium, but is getting everything fixed, everything ready, and marketing the property so that all of those people can be in the crowd when the auctioneer gets up at the podium, which is really important. There's something that for our general audience, and again, our audience is real estate brokers and obviously auctioneers and real estate media, banking professionals, political people, and tell them what's the difference between an absolute auction and one that is not, and how they differ, and why absolute seems to be the way to go.
Well, an absolute auction means that basically, as a bidder, if you bid, you're going to leave with that item or that property, and it's selling regardless of price. And when bidders come to a auction, they want to know that if they've done their homework and they've put in the time to investigate that item or do their due diligence on that property, that if they bid, they're going to be the successful bidder and they're going to leave with that property or item. Consequently, the reserve type auction means that the seller has the right to accept or reject that bid. Now, there's times when you're selling a $10 million estate. Well, they're probably not going to sell that item, that property, absolute.
Right.
There is an inherent risk with doing an absolute auction.
Mm-hmm.
But in today's economy, and particularly as we talk about the real estate sector, there's still a lot of properties on the market. There's a lot of inventory out there. There's a lot to choose from as a buyer. And so when those properties are sold at absolute auction, that buyer knows that day he's going to or she is going to be the new owner or not going to be the new owner. And you eliminate that long, drawn-out process of negotiations. It's all done at one time.
That's a great answer. Basically, you're a fan of absolute auctions.
Well, we tend to like them a little bit in the auction business.
Hey, buddy, thank you so much for being on the show. How can people get a hold of you in the John Dixon and Associates auction marketing firm?
They can reach me at 850-765-2353, which is the office number, or they can reach us at johndixon.com. That's JOHNDIXON, johndixon.com.
Great, buddy. Thank you so much for being on the show and being here and your leadership of the Georgia Auctioneers Association.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you for being here. Thank you for having us.
You bet. All right, what a great group of people. Maria Jackson, president of the Georgia Auctioneers Association, Paul C. Bear, president of the National Auctioneers Association, Tommy Rowell, CEO of Rowell Auctions, and also Buddy Lee from John Dixon Associates and past president of the Georgia Auctioneers Association. Want to get into one of our sponsors, the Intelligent REIT Investor. Brad Thomas, the CEO, usually calls in at this time to tell what is happening. He was just up in New York City the week before. He interviewed Donald Trump, really an expert in the REIT area. And I want everyone to know the website, and that is www.theintelligentreinvestor.com, www.theintelligentreinvestor.com. He has a whole bunch of tips, a whole bunch of stories. Go on there, and there's also a subscription newsletter that he sells for $99. That is a bargain. You want to check it out. Donald Trump thinks it's a great idea, so, who am I to say anything different? And in fact, I'm going to read something here on his website from Donald Trump. Brad Thomas has a multilingual approach to real estate. He has built it, brokered it, sold it, invested in it, researched it, and now he's telling it. Who can't learn from his experience? And that is why I consider the Intelligent REIT Investor to be a must-have newsletter. That's Donald Trump, chairman and president of the Trump Organization. Pretty cool. Also, the other thing that Brad does is he writes for a whole bunch of great media. Number one, he writes for The Street. He writes for Forbes. He writes for The Motley Fool. He writes for Seeking Alpha. He goes on Fox Business, NPR, Commercial Real Estate Show. He's been on them all because he is considered the expert in the REIT area. And REITs are real estate investment trust. One more time, the website is theintelligentreinvestor.com. We're going to be wrapping things up. Again, this is the first Title National Real Estate Radio Show. We're broadcasting live from Jekyll Island in Georgia at the Jekyll Island Hotel. Great place, wonderful location, wonderful building. And I want to thank the people from the Georgia Auctioneers Association for allowing me here today. The four guests were Great Myers Jackson, president of the Georgia Auctioneers Association, Paul C. Bear, president of the National Auctioneers Association, Tommy Rowell, CEO of Rowell Auctions from Moultrie, Georgia, and Buddy Lee from John Dixon and Associates, who was the past president of the Georgia Auctioneers Association. Every week, we will be doing more VIPs in real estate coming on the show, either on a remote show like this or when I'm in the studio in St. Augustine. They will be calling in. And I want to thank everybody for listening. I also want to thank our sponsor, which is First Title Services. You want to go on titlecompany.com. You will see the leader, Steve Papermaster, who is the president and CEO